The name of our new record is called It Won't Be Like This All the Time. The reason that we decided to call the record that was basically it kind of summed up a lot of the lyrical themes of the whole story of the record. And the title can be taken in a positive or a negative way. For example, it won't be like this all the time. In the positive manner would be to kind of cherish the moments that life gives you that's good and you're happy, because yeah, it won't be like this all the time. And then the negative aspect would be if you're in a dark place or going through a tough time, tomorrow's a new day and there's always people there to help you, so to try and say, yeah, it won't be like this all the time as well. It's the one record that, although it's got some of the darkest elements that we've ever had in the lyrics and within the music, but also there's a bit of hope there. There's a lot of hope there actually, which I think is important now. I think I've always said that we're like miserable music and all that kind of stuff, but maybe I was saying that a little bit tongue-in-cheek as well, because without the music and writing the way I do, I wouldn't be able to get this stuff off my chest, and life would be a lot harder than it is. Because outside of it. 10 Good Reasons for Modern Drugs. Andy came up with the title. With a lot of the titles, I find it quite hard to sum up what the overall feeling is within a sentence or a word. So with a lot of the track titles, I'll just go, Andy, can you find it? I'll tell him what the song's about, what it means to me and all that kind of stuff. And I don't know if he listens to me, but he always comes back with something that it's really good. And with us as well as the aesthetic of how it looks on the written down. So basically, this was the first song that I listened to with the new music that Andy'd written for. Once he deleted all the old music, this was the first track that came on when I downloaded it, when he sent it to me. And it was just like, whoa. As soon as I heard it, and like I'd listened to it once or twice, I was like, this is the first track on the record. It still got developed more as we went into the studio and we kind of played it live a bit together, but there was just something really instant about it. And I just felt like it would set the record up. As far as the lyrics go, it's one of those, I'm not really a political kind of person, and I don't really write about that kind of things. I'll leave that to people that are really good at it. Everything's a pretty emotional based with me. But there was just one night that I went out. I know I was struggling with a few things. I was struggling with just, watching the news and everything in my personal life that was happening. The world seemed like it was kind of going to shit. And I went out to a place that I usually would go to for a bit of relief and a bit of, for a drink basically. And it was completely different. I hadn't been there for a while. The mentality with the people that were drinking there or just there, it just didn't feel like the warm, kind of welcoming place that I'd kind of known to love. And it just, after the day I'd had, it just kind of felt like I just needed to see a wee bit of good in the world, if you know what I mean. And I didn't find it. I think that, yeah, I was looking for a bit of compassion, and I didn't find it that night. And that's, I don't know, it was just my kind of way of, I was looking at the world from a pretty dark place that day. And I was basically questioning what's going on and basically pointing fingers. And that's how those lyrics came out. And then there was also a bit that I wrote near as we were finishing up practicing up at Lochfine, or Why Can't You Remember Me? And I think it's based on certain other things that are going on in my life, but also reflects back to that night of going to the place like a safe haven and it not being like that anymore. And like, I would maybe not, when I say Why Can't You Remember Me in that instance, it's why is it not like this anymore? If you know what I mean, why can't we go back to how it used to be? If you know what I mean. But then there's also a big connotation in that lyric that has got to do with the overall theme of the record as well, and something I'm going through as well. So I thought it was a nice way to end the first song. So yeah, that's 10 good reasons for modern drugs. Shooting, Dennis Hopper shooting. This song has got nothing to do with Dennis Hopper. It's another one that Andy named. He was actually, whilst he was writing it or thinking of the song, he was looking up a Dennis Hopper documentary I think it was called Shooting Dennis Hopper. And again, I couldn't sum up that song within one sentence or one word, so he named it. Maybe down the line, like a lot of our other songs, that name will click and it'll be like, oh, that's why that happened. There's been a lot of coincidences and kind of strange happenings with the names of our songs that after a wee while you're like, oh God, it makes complete sense now. We thought that just was a good sentence or it looked good or fitted aesthetically, but there's something happened there that it's linked, and I can't explain that, to be honest. Shooting, Dennis Hopper shooting also was one of the first songs written for the record, and I remember Andy said a few times that he said that was the starting point for him. Once he'd written that song and demoed it, he knew the direction that he wanted to take with it. So it was a pretty important song, and we knew that I think it had to be quite like upfront on the record as well. It's probably one of the heavier songs on the record. It's one of the shorter ones actually as well. It's kind of in and out kind of type way. I know a lot of our songs can be like 6 minutes long and stuff like that, but it's quite a straightforward verse chorus kind of outro type song. And yeah, that came together pretty easy, to be honest. It wasn't a lot of deliberating around that song. It was like, right, it's pretty close to the demo, to be honest. The Arbour is a song, to me, was the starting point for the record. As soon as I heard that song, I knew that we were going in the right direction. To me, it has a bit of an early Cocteau Twins kind of atmosphere to it. And they're a band that I've loved for years. Actually they grew up, well, they're from 15 minutes down the road from where I'm from, in Grangemouth, which is on the motorway. Lovely place. And they're a band that I've always loved. There's no way that my voice could ever be like Liz Fraser's, so it's we were never trying to emulate them, but a lot of the stuff that we do, we kind of wear our influences on our sleeve. Like if somebody says, oh, that song sounds a bit like, I don't know, the Cocteau Twins or The Cure or Joy Division, it's like, well, they're our favourite bands, so there's going to be an influence there, of course. So for me, it was nice to hear the Cocteau Twins kind of influence coming through the music as well. And I think because on the Cure tour, Robert had the playlist before we went on, and then after before they came on, there was a playlist every night that we heard, and the Cocteau Twins were on it every night. So I think subconsciously that kind of seeped in as well, even though I was listening to them quite a lot on that tour as well. But that was the song for me that just kind of, I was like, this doesn't sound like anything we've done before. The sentiment of the song is a song that the lyrics came to me for the first time ever this happened. They came to me in a dream. When I woke up the next day, I remembered the whole thing, and it related to me as well. Like, I won't go into what the dream was about. It wasn't a rude dream. It was a very kind of sad dream. Not a nightmare, just the sense of somebody leaving. So it's like the line in the chorus is, why did you leave in the night? So it's like the sense of somebody leaving, and yeah, that was emulating real life as well, which was quite scary to wake up to. And then it had the one song that there's two songs in this record where I've picked up after writing it. I've heard the phrasing so many times when I'm out and about or on the phone to somebody. So like the term "leave me be," like fucking leave me be, like that. Is that quite a Scottish, like, is that a Scottish sense? Leave me be. So I heard me saying it to somebody. Then I heard my dad say it to me as well. It's like, and then it's just like, so the lyrics are, why couldn't you leave me be? Why couldn't we leave it be? Leave it be. Like I kind of leave, like if there's an argument or there's something wrong, you just go, just leave it be. Like, so that was a kind of good old Scottish thing that kind of comes through in the lyrics quite a lot within all the records. I could be walking down the street and I could hear something. I'm like, fuck, I just wrote that 2 days ago. It must have just sank in. It must be like, that's why I'm saying when I'm back home, that's when things seep in as far as lyrics and what songs are about and stuff like that. So there's that. And it's also the song that once we sent it to Robert, we sent all our demos to Robert Smith, like, because obviously to have that ability to send your songs to one of the greatest songwriters of all time is quite an amazing thing. So we sent that. Remember, that was in the first batch of demos, and he said it was a very good song, and he says he'll be playing 6-string bass on the remix of the Arbor. So I'm going to hold on to that. VTR is the 4th song on our record, and possibly the song with the most, it's got some of the darkest lyrics, but it's also got the most hope in it as well. It was a song that came quite late in the writing process, which is quite usually for us, and the songs that come later tend to be some of the most important songs for us. Like on the first record, Cold Days from the Birdhouse, the first song on the 14 Autumns and 15 Winters, has turned out to be one of our most important songs, but we went into the studio thinking that was going to be a B-side, because it was written so late on, but then we got in and something just clicked and made it. So VTR was in the last batch of songs that Andy'd worked on. And I don't know, there's something really special about the song, I think. Lyrically, it kind of, the main lyric in it is "There's no love too small," and it was just basically another one of those days where I was searching for something, like a bit of hope or something, like something good, and I just thought, it doesn't matter how much compassion or how much love you show somebody, a little bit is enough, you know, like, and everybody should try to show a little bit more. It was me telling myself, you need to be a bit more, you need to show a bit more, you need to think about other people. But then it follows up, the line after it is, I won't be surprised if it kills us all. So I kind of quashed that hope right away. It just feels like it sums up everything, how I was feeling at that time. And the weirdest connection with this song is, so the title VTR was Andy who came up with that, and that was at the demo stage, before there was any lyrics, before there was anything. He sent the music through as, can you write to this? It's called, I've just named it roughly VTR. And I was like, right, okay. So we went through it, we'd written it, recorded it, it was done. And then as I was walking my wife into the hospital to give birth to her son, spray painted on the floor when I looked down at the floor was VTR. And I still don't know why that was, like, I don't know if that's like they were going to be working on the road, or what the relevance to that is. Because a couple of days after, I phoned Andy and I was like, what does that mean? What does VTR have in connection? He was like, well, I don't know why it was written on the road, man. That's got nothing to do with the reason that I wrote that name down. So this song felt like it just needed to be atmospheric more than anything. And I think it's important to have those moments on a record, especially when you're dealing with the type of things that I'm talking about. I think that to just completely batter people around the face with like noise, big tune like that, doesn't reflect on the way that my life was going, you know. Like, so it's about taking stock as well, having a moment to breathe. But I think at the same time, there's still, like, see when I think about it now, even that song, actually there's a lot of, the tension builds all the way through it. Might be a song that people question why we put it there at that point, but it was important, and when we agreed on that as a band, we're like, no, that's an important moment for us. That's why it's there on the record. Sunday Day 13 is not a full-on song. It's probably the most kind of stripped-back song on the record, and people might think it's quite strange to have this type of song so early in the record, like where we take everything up. Everything's quite high energy, and then we kind of bring it down quite quickly. But it just felt right. Some people could have said we could have put that song at the end of the record, but to me that just didn't feel like it. It felt like it needed to be where it was. As far as recording this song, the main vocal line in it was just one take. Like, I sang it basically when we were recording with Andy Bush. I really wanted to get it down first song, and he just went, think about what you wrote it about. And I did, and we managed to get it in one take, which was remarkable, to be honest. That was one of the hardest ones to sing, just not because I was thinking, you need to get this in one take, but you'll be able to tell when you listen to it that it's quite a not nice song, but it is a nice song at the same time. I'm Not Here Missing Face was the first song that we let anybody hear from the record that we put out. To me, musically, it's one of my favourite moments the band have ever produced. It has everything that I think our band's about at this point, and it's definitely lyrically my most candid and most kind of honest, which is scary because it's not exactly, again, when you listen to the lyrics, it's not exactly a nice thing to hear me say about myself, like when I'm talking about the lyrics in this song. But it was important to get out. The last lines in the song are, why do you do this? Why do you do that? Why do you do this to yourself? Along those lines. I can only really remember it when I sing it. But those lyrics came to me when I was genuinely asking myself those questions, when I was listening to the music that Andy'd sent over for me to write to. So that was a genuine moment of, I didn't think about it, I just sang what was in my head and how I was feeling at that point. And that's how I approached the rest of the song after that. I was like, just sing how you're feeling, exactly. And that's, every single word on that song came out within an hour, you know, like when I was writing it. And to say I was happy with it would be a weird thing to say, because when you listen to the lyrics, it's not exactly, oh yeah, I'm really happy I feel that way, you know, but it was a good feeling to get it out. And I was like, well, that's the main reason now to do this, is getting it out. And that's, yeah, like the lines, I don't want to be around you anymore, and then I change it to, I don't want her to be around me anymore. I'm basically just talking about myself the whole way through it. And since we released it, it's been the one that people have said they've really connected to, and that they feel that way. Yes, it's a song that's mixed with a lot of elements. Every element of this album, to be honest, you've got big kind of wailing guitars at the start. You've got a driving kind of drum beat. It's a very driving song. And then you've got the arpeggiated synths and big synths at the chorus, and so it's got everything that I think that our band are at this present moment, as far as musically and lyrically. That's why this song was the first thing that we decided that we wanted to come back with and introduce the band again. And it's been amazing to see the reaction to it, both from people telling us, writing to us, or when we play it live, I can tell that people are understanding it. It's like a German Auge. It means eye, so it's eye machine. And one of the last lyrics in the song as well is "You took my eyes." Once you've heard the song, you can understand what that lyric means as well. It's not that hard to decipher. So yeah, Auge machine. I think it was the recording of it was a lot easier than the demoing it and finding how to make the song into what it eventually ended up being. I think it went through about 5 stages, to be honest. Like with most things, like if it's not happening, there's no point in forcing it. I definitely didn't feel like we were forcing it, but I was just like, take some time, I'll go away and I'll have a listen to the versions that you've done. And I went, well, I think you were the closest on the first one. Do you know, like most times, to be honest, it's like we can all overthink things, and I definitely can overthink things. But I think through every version there was something he got. There was like this extra wee kind of, oh, that's really good, that bit. So this song needed all those versions to ultimately end up going back to the start. But on the journey to get to that point again, we picked up the little bits that were like, no, that needs to be in there, that needs to be in there. So it was like a kind of like a jigsaw puzzle of a song that the foundation was there. But sometimes the things that don't come easily end up being the best things. If you have to work for it, it means more, you know. Keep It All to Myself was one of the last songs again we wrote for the record. It's quite a short song. I think it also has kind of elements of the Cocteau Twins, kind of like the Arbor previous song on the record. There's some they share the same headspace, I suppose, and kind of soundscapes. But I think it's, as far as the lyrics go, it's like, I think it's about bottling things up and not talking about it. Like I've said a lot about on the songs and the lyrics that it's about getting it out. But that's not easy to do, you know. Like that's pretty. You can't do that all the time, and like sometimes I do let things fester and stuff like that. So the song "Keep It All to Myself" is like basically me talking about don't do that. Do you know what I mean? It's me saying that I'm doing it, but I'm talking to myself going, you stop doing this, it's not good for you, you know? So lyrically it's a pretty straightforward song, to be honest. And then I think Andy said to me that I'm a big fan of the Walkman, and he said that the outro of this song reminded him of when the singer Hamilton from the Walkman is really kind of going for it, like kind of screaming. So that was quite nice because I'm a big fan of the Walkman. So yeah. Girl Chewing Gum. I think the title, Andy came up with the title for this as well. The title's a documentary. Yeah, I would say ask Andy, but he's not here right now. But he's taken, I think if you look that up, Girl Chewing Gum, I think it's a found footage kind of documentary. It's quite creepy, apparently. It was just a really down day, and a lot of the time I've been saying stuff about not finding much hope and stuff. I mean, and again, I'm not a political person or like go about shouting about stuff or like the way the world is or anything like that, because I think there's enough people doing that, and there's enough people more educated than I to talk about that kind of stuff. But all I can do is talk about the way sometimes things in my personal life, but then if you couple it with the way the world is going at the same point, the way it makes me feel, and that day just made me feel like there was no hope, and I don't feel like that anymore, which is good. For certain reasons, I don't feel like that way, and I don't feel like that all the time. That was just one moment of despair, I suppose you could say. Music itself couples pretty well with the lyrics. It's probably the most intense. I think it's the most intense song on the record. I think Johnny's bass sounds like a plane taking off, which is pretty cool. I think he played it with a slide actually when he was playing it. It's quite industrial. It's got a big chorus as well, and a pretty big outro. But it's not a pleasant song, but I think it's an important song. Let's Get Lost. This was a song that needed to be on the record for me. Weirdly, it's probably one of the most melodic driving songs that we've ever written. This song took a wee bit of time to get right as well, to be honest. It was one of those ones where I said to Andy, I was like, this is important that this song's on the record for me, and even if like we went through a few versions of it as well to really kind of get it to the point where, like, again, when you had this idea and these lyrics and these melodies, and it wasn't quite right yet, and we went through a few versions, not dissimilar versions. They were all pretty on the same kind of level, but it was just like, right, this needs to be better, and we worked on it to the point where even when it came down to the mixing, we were like, this is really going to be a point of bringing things in and out and bringing things in and out, and even up into the last couple of days of the mixing, I was just like, I think I said to everybody, I was like, look, this is really important that this is on this record for me, but if it becomes detrimental to the overall record, the way that you guys feel about it, I'll step away, and leave it down to yous. And this, I don't know, it just shows you what kind of close group we are now, that they didn't let that happen, and they didn't let it lie. They said they were like, don't make that call until the last moment. And they're like, we're going to get it there for you, and we're going to get it to where it needs to be. And now I think we all look at it as one of our favourite songs on the record. Videograms was actually the first thing that was written for this record before the Cure tours. Actually, most of this, actually all the songs were written after the Cure tours, apart from this one, because this was the first thing that we thought about, but it was a completely different song. Like, all the vocal melodies were all there again. Like, Andy deleted all the music for this one as well, but he only decided a month before we started rehearsing for the album that he was like, no, I'm going to do something with that, and it turned into what it is now. I think I don't know, it's a strange song. I think it's quite industrial, but it's very melodic at the same time. It has one of those moments of lyrics-wise, I have heard something of, like, the main lyric in it for the chorus is, don't you start on me, don't you start on me. And I've heard that about 1,000,000 times since I wrote it. Like, I was in the supermarket, and I heard like a couple going, fucking hell, don't start on me, fucking don't start, like that, just like the pure argument kind of stuff. And it's also a way of saying leave me alone, kind of way. So it's one of those weird ones where I've heard it so many times walking down the street, just going, oh fuck, there's where I got it. That'll be seeping into my unconscious, all this mad patter. So lyrically, I think the main lyric at the end is it still me that you love? Is a kind of question going, after all that, like, as it's the last song, after all these things that I've talked about, of this being a chapter of my life, the lyrics going ups and downs and ups and downs, and me just thinking about the people close to me and going, why do you still put up with me? Like, is it still me that you love? Even though I know that it is them, but it's just my anxiety of going, how the fuck are you still putting up with me? I think it's quite an uplifting song, but at the same time, people have mentioned Depeche Mode to me with this song, and Depeche Mode are amazing, and cool, I'll take that and run with it, but I can see elements of it, like the pure 80s industrial kind of thing, which is amazing. But to me, it was the perfect footnote for a record, because sometimes the footnote, like on the last record, we used a really quiet piano song at the end, and that was it felt right to do that. With this one, it was like, nah, let's go out like fucking screaming, you know? So, yeah, I think that also has some Mercedes car bashing with hammers from Johnny Doc on it, which is pretty industrial again. And Andy came up with the title. But there's also like a theme within the record as well of like fractured memories, trying to remember good things or bad things, and to hold on to them, because memories are so important. I was looking through some old photographs with my parents when I was younger, and so many other memories came back. So I think, I can't quote Andy for definite on this, but Videograms is something of a kind of fractured memory, and the way that things get a little bit hazy as time goes on. Yeah, I've started to think about how certain people have had an effect on my life, be it positive or negative, and how that's got me to where I am now, and how it made me write this album, and I think that's what Videograms means.